Lee Kun-hee is a South Korean business magnate and the chairman of Samsung Group. He had resigned in April 2008, owing to a Samsung slush funds scandal, but returned on March 24, 2010. He speaks Korean, English, and Japanese. In 1996, Lee became a member of the International Olympic Committee. With an estimated net worth of $12.6 billion, he and his family rank among the Forbes richest people in the world. He is the third son of Samsung founder Lee Byung-chul. Lee was named the world's 41st most powerful person by Forbes magazine's list of the world's most powerful people in 2013, the second highest among Koreans after Ban Ki-moon. Early life: Lee has a degree in economics from Waseda University and an MBA from George Washington University. Samsung: Lee Kun-hee joined the Samsung Group in 1968 and took over the chairmanship on December 1, 1987, just 2 weeks after the death of his father, Lee Byung-chul, who founded Samsung. In the early 1990s, believing that Samsung Group was overly focused on producing massive quantities of low-quality goods and that it was not prepared to compete in quality, Lee famously said in 1993, "Change everything except your wife and kids," and true to his word attempted to reform the profoundly Korean culture that had pervaded Samsung until this point. Foreign employees were brought in and local employees were shipped out as Lee tried to foster a more international attitude to doing business. Under Lee's guidance, the company has been transformed from a Korean budget name into a major international force and arguably the most prominent Asian brand worldwide. One of the group's subsidiaries, Samsung Electronics, is now one of the world's leading developers and producers of semiconductors, and was listed in Fortune magazine's list of the 100 largest corporations in the world in 2007. Today Samsung's revenues are now 39 times what they were in 1987, it generates around 20% of South Korea's GDP, and Lee is the country's richest man. On April 21, 2008, he resigned and stated, "We, including myself, have caused troubles to the nation with the special probe. I deeply apologize for that, and I'll take full responsibility for everything, both legally and morally." On December 29, 2009, the South Korean government moved to pardon Lee Kun-hee. On March 24, 2010, he announced his return to Samsung Electronics as its chairman. In an interview, Lee expressed pride in the fact that Samsung attracts the brightest minds in South Korea but added that his new goal is to attract talent from all over the world to ensure that Samsung will remain one of the top companies in the world for years. Notable Samsung industrial subsidiaries include Samsung Electronics, Samsung Heavy Industries, Samsung Engineering and Samsung C&T, and Samsung Techwin. Other notable subsidiaries include Samsung Life Insurance, Samsung Everland and Cheil Worldwide. Samsung produces around a fifth of South Korea's total exports and its revenues are larger than many countries' GDP. In 2006, it would have been the world's 35th largest economy. The company has a powerful influence on South Korea's economic development, politics, media and culture and has been a major driving force behind the miracle on the Han River. Samsung scandal. On January 14, 2008, Korean police raided Lee's home and office in an ongoing probe into accusations that Samsung was responsible for a slush fund used to bribe influential prosecutors, judges, and political figures in South Korea. On April 4, 2008, Lee denied allegations against him in the scandal. After a second round of questioning by the South Korean prosecutors, on April 11, 2008, Lee was quoted by reporters as saying, "I am responsible for everything. I will assume full moral and legal responsibility." On July 16, 2008, the New York Times reported the Seoul Central District Court had found Lee guilty on charges of financial wrongdoing and tax evasion. Prosecutors requested Lee be sentenced to 7 years in prison and fined 350 billion won. The court fined him just 110 billion won and sentenced him to 3 years suspended jail time. Lee has not responded to the verdict. Months later, South Korean President Lee Myung-bak pardoned Lee so he could remain on the International Olympic Committee. In 2010, the company's former chief legal counsel, Kim Yong-chul, published a book called Think Samsung. It revealed shocking alleged details of Lee Kun-hee's personal corruption, claiming he stole up to 10 trillion won from Samsung subsidiaries, destroyed evidence, and bribed government officials to ensure the smooth transfer of power to his son. Personal life. His siblings and some of their children are also executives of major Korean business groups. As of 2010, his son Lee Jae-yong is vice chairman of Samsung Electronics. Lee Byung-chul, his eldest daughter, is president and CEO of Hotel Schiller, a luxury hotel chain, as well as president of Samsung Everland, a theme park and resort operator that is widely seen as the de facto holding company for the conglomerate according to Associated Press. Lee's eldest brother's son is currently chairman and CEO of the CJ Group, a company holding businesses in food, beverages and entertainment. His second eldest brother's sons ran Seihan Media, one of the largest blank media producers. His older sister is the owner of Hansol Group, the country's largest paper manufacturer and producer of electronics and telecommunications. One of his sisters is married to Ko Ja-hak, brother of a former chairman of the LG Group and himself a former chairman of LG Semiconductor. He is currently running one of the largest food services firms in South Korea. Lee's younger sister, Lee Byung-chul, is chairwoman of the Shinsegae Group, the largest retail company in South Korea, with major holdings such as the Shinsegae department stores and E-Mart. His daughter Lee Yoon-young committed suicide in 2005. In late 2005, Lee was tested for cancer at the MD Anderson Medical Center in Houston, Texas. Lee's older brothers Lee Man-hee and Lee Suk-hee initiated legal action against him in February 2012, asking a South Korean court to award them shares of Samsung companies totaling $850 million, which they claim their father willed to them. Court hearings began in May 2012. On February 6, 2014, courts in South Korea dismissed the case. On May 11, 2014, Lee was hospitalized. Awards. In 2004, Lee received the Legion of Honor from French government at Paris. In September 2006, Lee received the James A. Van Fleet Award from the Korea Society. Quotes, "One genius can feed millions of others. For the upcoming era where creativity will be the most important driver of business success, we need to hire the best. The economic value of one genius is more than $1 a billion. The business world has changed significantly. It is becoming increasingly difficult to foresee what sectors will prosper or opportunities will arise in the future. But if you hire the best and brightest, you will solve whatever issues arise in the future. It is difficult to understand the true dimensions of a problem or a situation when so many things seem to be happening on the surface. This is why I urge my employees to analyze a given situation from various perspectives. This way of thinking allows one to see the true aspects of a situation, which, in turn, allows one to respond wisely in conclusion. Firing a CEO because his financial performance was poor is simply a bad decision. I've encountered several situations where a CEO once performed poorly in one sector then went on to perform much better elsewhere. This is one of the reasons Japanese corporations were able to compete successfully against U.S. corporations. References. External links, Forbes.com, Forbes World's Richest People, Lee Kun-hee's Big Stick, The Korea Times, January 8, 2006. Samsung Chairman's Office raided as part of inquiry, International Herald Tribune, January 14, 2008. Samsung Chairman hints at possible resignation, Hankei Newspaper, April 11, 2008. www.iːɡʌnhi.com Official personal bio, South Korea plans to pardon former Samsung chairman.